Where are you from? Hashtag racist. It's amazing to see where we're at in 2022. I wouldn't say amazing, it's not surprising. Go back 5 years ago and look at a headline from the Daily Telegraph from 2017. Asian grooming gangs rape of white girls, not racist, rules judge. How many times did we see that come out in some of the grooming gang cases where all the victims were white, young girls, vulnerable girls who were groomed, raped and abused over many, many years. And every time the word racism was mentioned in those particular cases, whether it's people on social media or was other people in general just mentioning the fact that it does seem that these cases were racist, they had a racist element to them, they were soon shot down, and they themselves were called racist, which you couldn't make up. So you actually talking about the victims being white and the men who were grooming, abusing and raping and being, I will use the wording Asian, you would actually condemned or demonised as being a racist for actually saying that. And that was, like you said, and it still goes on now. Once you do get into that particular topic, it's still there around. It's always going to be around us for some years yet. But when you talk about it, you're, like you said again, you're deemed as a racist. So we'll forward on to 2022. We saw this story sort of developing in the last 48 hours, and it's really hit the headlines today. This lady has been on all the news. She's been on the news, GMTV, BBC, Sky News. I don't know if she's been on GB News, but I think she might have been. So she's been all over, basically, trying to explain a particular point, an alleged conversation she had with the lady, and what the lady, again, allegedly said to her. And to sort of get to the crux of the matter, it's basically, she said, "Where are you from?" Now, the lady's name in question and how she dresses, even at the function and her attire, if I'd have saw this lady, I'd have thought straight away she's African. And not just because of the colour of her skin, I would have thought she was African. And her name is itself, I will try and pronounce this lady's name. Ngozi Fulani. Totally bastardised her name. I don't know how to pronounce her name. Does that make me a racist? Or does that make me a bigot? Or does it make me some sort of fool because I can't pronounce this lady's name? Again, if I'd have been in that same situation, regardless how she spoke, I might say, well, where do you originally come from? Because that was the whole context of the thing. Where do you actually originally come from? Are you from Africa? Well, in some respects, she was. Many generations ago, a previous generation ago. I think the lady said she was from Hackney, or she is from Hackney, etc. And it's sort of exposed from there, because I think it all comes in the wake of the last couple of days. We've come out about the immigration, we've come out about the Christian people, the religious side of stuff falling down. Not many people practicing Christianity in this country now. Then obviously we've seen various cities now become less and less white people, white minorities in some respects. So it's all come on the back of this particular story. And like I said, just reading some of these sort of headlines from mainstream media, I didn't have time to see all the headlines. I just went quickly through some headlines. It's almost that they're all, it's like a witch hunt against this lady who called her out. You know, she said, "Where are you from?" They're not giving a sort of like, they're not sort of questioning in what she said. They were not calling out on anything she said. They're not calling out anything previously what she said, because she's not a great fan of the royal family. And the group she runs, the organisation she runs, is a predominantly a black ethnic group, so she knows where she's standing. If you read some of her Instagram or some of her Twitter posts from the group, she actually, I think she founded it, or she's in charge of. You know, she's not exactly on board with white people as such. Without, I don't want to sound silly by saying that, but she's out for her own people, which is fair enough. That's her thing. That's what she bats for. But when, like you said, so she's come out. She's allegedly said, oh no, she didn't allegedly say. This woman's allegedly said, whereabouts do you come from? She's taking it the wrong way. She's obviously, it's like a bit of a, not necessarily it's a set-up job, but straight away the media on with it, and it's just been, she's literally been given the red carpet to, to again, for me, it's just like having an attack, and not necessarily the royal family, but just everything in this country. That's what it's like. It's just, we've got to a stage now where you can't even ask somebody where they're from because you're frightened of being called a racist. And you look at all these different forms of racist. It's not just racist anymore. It goes off into different categories, and that's what it's like now when people say it's casual racism, or is it subtle racism, or is it another form of racism? And that's what it is. And it said it's embedded now. It's embedded in British people, British society, because that's what we like. So being polite and asking somebody where they're from is now become sort of frowned upon, because you're not allowed to do it. You're not allowed to question people where they're from. So when you're seeing people with strange sounding names who do not who are ethnically not look like you, they behave not like you, if you ask where they're from, etc., you're going to be condemned as being a racist. It's very sad in some respects, and I think I looked at it slightly different from a different perspective, because I was actually thinking about some recent events what happened in recent times, like cricket, football, some politicians, for example, some professional people, it goes on, etc., etc. But people have lost their jobs for making comments, and the comments being taken out of context and been used against them, and they've either been sacked or they've actually walked away from that position or resigned. But what I found even more sad is that the people that work among them, the people that we're working with, whether it be in the sports or professional or again politicians, nobody come out and supported these particular individuals. Much the same as this woman here. This elderly woman said what she said, and for me, I think it was an innocent remark. Allegedly, it was allegedly, and it's just been taken out of context. And it's been used to bash us. It's not just about the royal family. If you expand on what some of the people are saying, and again, they're referencing white people, they're referencing white British society, they're referencing things, and they're trying to sort of tie it up with the recent immigration, the things what we're having coming out about the statistics about Leicester, for example, Manchester, and all this sort of stuff, and they're just saying it's a white backlash and stuff like that. And the way this lady was talking, she said it's been in this country for generations, this sort of behaviour, and it still has to be tackled. So racism has to be tackled at every level. So again, by asking somebody where they're from, not pronouncing their name correctly, it's a form of racism. It's almost like you're being browbeaten to even raise any objections to what's going on. And that's the thing what got me quite angry today about this, because again, I was reading some of the comments from all the different commentators, etc. Obviously, you've got the GB News doing the usual saber rattling stuff. Then you've got the more like sort of middle of the road organisations who give these stories loads of airplay, and they're so supposedly neutral. But I don't see the neutrality at all in some of the mainstream media. I just think they've jumped on this story straight away. Once they see anything to do with racism, hashtag, they're straight on it. And obviously, when racism obviously only affects black people and affect white people, they're straight on again supporting this lady. So this lady is going to have some elevation now. I don't think we're going to see the last of the story. I think we'll still see a little bit coming out Friday, maybe weekend it might sort of peter off, but I think this lady's been given like a platform, so I do expect to see more of this lady in the public light, and the public eye, or public light, whatever, and I do expect her name not to go away. I will try and have another go at pronouncing her name, and I want to again a quote from what I'm just reading, a newspaper article. Ngozi Fulaniel, totally wrong. Like I said, I bastardised the name, so again, does that make me a racist by doing that as well? And I believe she might be Nigerian heritage, I'm not particularly sure. She's obviously not English heritage, if I'm allowed to say that. In today's climate, again, that could be deemed as racist. Yeah, make what you want of it, folks. We've all got different opinions about this particular story, but it's going to be with us for a while yet, unfortunately, until the next one comes along, which it probably will do very soon. So, like I said, sad days indeed in some respects, or strange days indeed. That's probably more of an apt thing I should have said instead of sad. It's more strange days indeed. And there's something I was just going to end with. Yeah, I think I was just talking to somebody about this at work, and the fact is that nobody's really rallied around this lady as well. I found that really sad. I did mention that earlier on, but I'll mention it again. I just find it really sad that people haven't rallied around her. People have obviously on social media, but that doesn't mean anything. But you think hopefully her friends have, which they probably have done it privately, but nobody's coming out publicly and actually sort of defending this lady, from her inner circle or from her family or even some of the royals, etc. So again, if it's added more fuel to the fire in respect of the royals and racism, i.e. hashtag racist, and that's where we're at, unfortunately. Right, so thanks again, guys. Please leave a comment, see what you think about this particular story, and I'll catch you all Saturday, all being well. God bless and take care, friends.